too. And I was like, oh, all right then. Be calm, relaxed, and dignified at competitions and games. I have a vivid memory of my husband not doing this at one game. I have another vivid memory of another parent who ran onto the field. Yeah. He thought his son was hurt, and he just lost it. Again, we're functioning from this place of care. Why do I have to wait a couple minutes for him to be down before someone goes to get him? Right, we're like, just this panic sets in. Accept that progress in any sport takes a long time. Research shows it takes 7 to 10 years after maturation in most sports for any athlete to achieve their full potential. I now see that with my track runner. And my other son, my youngest, who runs track, he tried football. One of the coaches who's no longer there tackled him. He was like, I'm out. He's really tall and he's like 12 and a half size feet, but his coordination is like, it just took off. So he like has this really weird run. And so for track last year, we were like, just focus on your form. Focus on small decreases in your time. And he got to that point. Encourage commitment and passion for their sport. Jordan's coach that recruited him to Chapman left mid-year. And Jordan said, I might go where he goes. I said, no, you will not. Did you come here to run for coach, or did you come here because you love running? And he was like, oh yeah, I don't know what I'd do without track in my life. So the commitment should be to the sport, because you're also going to have, no offense to any coaches, but a coach that y'all might just not mesh. But that's the coach. So how do you stick with what you love and learn to deal with the adversity? Even if you were an athlete, tell them you're proud of them, do that, that's important. Even if you were an athlete or a player, and even if you're a trained coach, if possible, resist the temptation to coach your own child. We had a big, long, drag-out argument in our house. My husband played at UCLA, he played baseball. None of the kids play baseball. And he was trying to tell Jordan something about track. And Jordan turned around and said, you did not run track, Dad. Now, you know, Dwayne was like, we could go outside and run this hill right now, and I will die before I let you beat me. He was like, that's fine, you might be faster, but you didn't run track. And it was just like, Jordan's bigger, got a little hair, you know, he was like ready to, I was like, somebody about to die. I got my money on my husband winning this. But it was this also good thing for Dwayne, where he was like, oh, okay, all right, I see you, sir. I'll be quiet. And this is something that took both of, I'm the one that played soccer. Well, let me tell you something, when I was playing, we just used to run until we passed out, and coach didn't care. I don't know what y'all doing right now. Y'all weak. Oh, if Dwayne says that one more time. So now we have a big joke, because my husband's like an avid golfer. Any golfers here? My husband is a golfer, and they'd be like, how hard is that sport? How many miles you walk? Oh, that's right, you on a cart. How many this? How many, like, so now they go back and forth. And don't compare the achievements of your kids to other kids, good or bad. I was sitting at a track meet for my youngest last year, and we have to take turns as admin going to these, right? If y'all take turns, no, y'all just go. We have to take turns. So, I mean, the ADs are always there, but there's always an admin also. So I'm sitting, I usually like to sit far, so parents don't want to come talk about African history or something else. Trying to watch my son and just watch, and I hear this like arguing. And I'm like, oh God, I turn, and one of our parents had started to talk about one of the kids racing. Started to talk about his size. It's like, my son beat him by this last year. Oh, well, the mama was sitting right next to him. And this is where, out of those animals, she took Mama Bear. And she went in. And then the crowd's going in, and I'm like, oh my, I'm calling the AD. I'm like, get over here, get over here. That father, our father, was escorted out of the track, and we had to have a conversation with him. So that was one thing of like comparing your kids in that way, but also when your kid's here, you do that. And I have that firsthand because my twins were always compared at soccer. Jordan was very much a natural, Justin was not. And I think that's another reason why Justin wanted to quit, because the coach always compared them. So what does it look like to support your student athlete? This is a simple answer. Ask them. What do you need from me? I have told my children, I know what I think you need, but I could be wrong. Clearly, I've been wrong. So what do you need? And so I ask students when I meet with student athletes at school, what do you need? So a first-year college athlete has told me, come to my competitions and hug me after. This student is currently at a D1 soccer program, made the travel squad, first 10 minutes into the game, tore her MCL. So now I'm working with her about what is this going to mean for you to be out of your season this year. Her parents rode her. Not only did they ride her to say, the only way you can go to college is if you get a soccer scholarship, she also worked. And she would work from like 4 in the morning to 7, she'd open a gym, and then she'd take her other 2 siblings to school. This one is from my son. Send me texts that ask how I'm doing instead of how is practice. I always say, how's practice? On the way here, he called me. I said, how was conditioning this morning? He was like, what are you about to go do? I said, you're right. How was class? He's like, let's start there. Then he told me about conditioning. Another student I work with said, be there for me, win or lose, and tell me that you support me. We think we do these, and you know what? We actually do these things. They remember when we don't. So sometimes I just do it more, right? So for my other 2, who are definitely my guinea pigs, and I learned so much from them, for my youngest, it's so much easier for me with him, because I'm able to do a lot more of this, because I learned all the things what not to do after parenting my first 2. Although I did have to buy a book on how to parent 20-year-olds. When they came back this year, and I was like, oh, text me about where you're gonna be, and they said, why? I was like, Dwayne, come get your kids. I was like, y'all don't pay for nothing. You're back in my house. I have you on 360 when you're not home. Why would it be any different when you're back in my house? Yeah, that's not easy. All right, anyone like Ted Lasso? I made those biscuits, by the way. Biscuits with the boss, whew, they're so good. Okay, so he's all about partnership, right? Like, okay. Yeah, actually I did that. I took them to my principal because he loves Ted Lasso. It was fun times. How do we partner with our coaches and athletic department? That's a hard one, right? Because sometimes my kids come home and tell me stuff and I'm like, let's go. We're going back. I'm going to talk to them and you just stay in the car. And they're like, don't do that, don't do that. I'm not telling you anything else. I got this from your website. Would someone mind reading it for me? Need this?
I don't need it.
Okay, go.
Education at Christian Brothers extends beyond the classrooms into the athletic arena. From early on, the school's athletic programs provide students with life lessons in teamwork, perseverance, competition, and school spirit. Today, more than 600 student athletes participate in more than one of the 27 sports.
That's a lot of student athletes, and each one of you in this room have one. How many of your kids do more than one sport? Wow, right? And some of your kids do sport inside, outside. Some of your kids do a sport in drama, or a sport in music, or a sport in something else, or a sport in a job, right? Or a sport, one sport that they do pretty intensely. And they're all an athlete too. I mean a student. They're all a student. That's a lot. That is a lot. When I was getting my master's in sports psychology, my advisor was from the UK. And she's a UK, for their Olympic team, archery sports psych. And she said, you Americans are so funny. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, we used to have all of our matches after school. The parents never came. And we would go home, and they were like, oh, okay, time for dinner. Didn't ask about the match. Like, just do your homework and move on. It's a different culture. And I was like, what? If I remember running to get to the soccer field. Like, I don't want to be the parent that never shows up, right? So this is a pretty strong statement, right? To say that this Lasallian education that all of you come to this school for extends past the classroom. There is research around corporations really liking to hire athletes. Why? All of that. Dedicated, teamwork, disciplined. Yes. Competitive. They like athletes. So why not support them? So how do we partner with the coach? You said this earlier. You said, I think they should start the conversation, right? So one of the things is let the coach do their job during the game, even if it might not always be the best job. Right? Sometimes, as a parent, you're like, what? But they're the coach. Avoid sympathy groups. Now, I remember bringing my chair to the soccer games, and all the moms would just sit there and like, I don't know why he's playing that position. Oh, and then this, and then this, and then this. My husband was like, you are just messy, stop. So instead, I was like, let me just enjoy the match. I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy it, win or lose. Encourage and help your child talk to the coach when there is a concern. Again, what you were talking about. Help them. Ask the coach, if they don't tell you, find out the preferred method of communication. A couple of thoughts. If things get tough, always help your athlete go to the coach first with their concerns or questions. Role play with them, practice. What are you going to say? How are you going to say it? If they're afraid, ask them why. Right? So if you've done all this practice and you're like, I still can't, I might lose playing time. Why might you think that? Well, I've seen it happen. Okay, well then maybe you do need to step in. But ask the questions. Communicate with the coach after your athlete has done so first or attempted to. If things still feel challenging, contact your AD for help and support. Now, this might be written somewhere here. Okay? This is how I was taught in my programming of how to approach youth sport. So we're going to practice. So Jordan's a 15-year-old soccer player. Her dream has been to play in college and maybe even professionally. She has truly loved her sport since she began playing at 5 years old. Jordan remembers being excited for practice and matches. Putting on her new boots and uniform for the first game always brought her joy. Lately, she's been feeling like her joy for soccer just does not feel the same anymore. She dreads practice and doesn't feel the same excitement for games. Her coach has even asked her if she's doing okay, and each time she replies with yes. Recently at dinner, Jordan has told her family that she wants to quit soccer. Her family is surprised and a bit concerned. How should her parents respond? Turn and talk. My favorite thing to say.
Freak out. Why?
Okay, I want to be respectful of time. So, what were some of the suggestions? Yes.
Why the underlying cause why Jordan feels the way she feels.
Yeah.
And then, hopefully it-
Ask some questions, right? Try to get that underlying cause.
I was just gonna say, it's why, what the root cause of wanting to stop something you've always loved.
Yeah. Ask some questions. Sometimes we gotta dig. Remember when they get in the car, what'd you do at school today? Nothing. How's your day? Fine. Good. I know you did not spend from 8 to 4 and you did nothing. Right? So dig, ask some questions. What else?
I think you just have to check too. We're going through this right now with our oldest on a different sport, and I found myself, I had to check my reaction, and that was really hard for me. Like, and my husband too. I mean, his was what? What? Are you kidding? And then it was. So I think taking a step back, a breath, and then having that conversation before, because sometimes the why, they don't know why.
Right.
They can't answer, their rationale is there yet, as they don't know why.
Let's remember when we were 15.
Yeah.
Every day my kids do something for my husband to say, I believe in that frontal lobe thing, that it is not done developing until you're 26 as a boy. Some of the things they do, I said, I tried to tell you. You paid for me to go to school for this. I'm trying to tell you. Yeah, so sometimes they don't know why. And I remember my husband's reaction when Jordan's like, or the doctor said he had to quit. My husband was like, why? Because of his brain, sir. That's why. Right? But checking that. Anything else?
We talked a little bit about timing and asking the child, has this been on your mind for weeks? And also saying, well, we're not going to solve it tonight, like taking that pressure off.
Good. Right? Like, I'm so sorry that you're feeling this way. How long has this been happening? Gosh, this is going to take some time, right? Like, in the meantime, what can we do to get through practice? Because what if it is just a dip of enthusiasm? What if it's not? But we don't know. We have to ask. I think some of the key takeaways are that initial reaction and to keep digging. Anything else? Okay, just one more. Alex is a 17-year-old senior. He has played football for the past 3 years, and to his surprise is really good. He's been contacted by a couple of college coaches who are interested in seeing him play this year. After summer practice, he finds out he won't be starting in his position. He's concerned and worried that coaches will lose interest if he doesn't get enough playing time. He lets you know, and of course you want to help. What we do as parents. Turn and talk.
Yeah, no, I know, but I mean, yes, that is an example.
I'm so sorry, but it's 6:58, and I know y'all are like, we're done. So, because I'm that parent, I'll be like, it's 7:01. Why am I still here? Okay, what came up? Any suggestions?
Well, I've actually had this with two of my kids, and in both cases, we had kids ask the coach, what can I do to get what I want? So if I want to be, if I want to get started, what do I have to work on? And they got good advice, but my high school freshman now was told, I have 10 fantastic volleyball players on the A team. You're not going to make the A team. But you're going to be great on a leader on the B team. And she had a lot of strong feelings, but knowing the why made it better.
Good, so find out the why. Yeah. My husband always says, ability is availability. Stay healthy, right? That's another one. Sometimes you can't control that, right? But also, like, talk to your trainers, talk to your doctors, like, what's the best way for me to stay fit? That's how Jordan got his starting spot in soccer as a freshman. Someone got hurt. Jordan was hungry enough to get it. And I'm the one working with the kid who's hurt. What else?
Well, you kind of said, how hungry are you to be what you want to be?
Right? How many of us have told our kids, I can't play for you. I can't do it for you. Right? I literally, physically can't. My knees don't function like that. But I can't. Like, I remember my husband saying one time, why do I seem like I want this more than you? And sometimes you gotta have those real conversations with your kids. His other thing is, why am I paying all this money if you don't want it? That doesn't mean I expect you to, I'm not telling you have to start. You're saying you want to start. So I'm trying to do everything I can to help you, even getting mad at the coach, and now I'm realizing, is it you? Right? But I think everything that I'm hearing is the communication piece. Going and having your kid ask the coach, what can I do to get better? Because sometimes the kids will come home, I need this other trainer, I need this. You need a job. Right? Because I'm not going to keep doing that. But there are some things you can do right there with the team. Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. It speaks to the youth in a language they understand. Nelson Mandela. That's it. I hope there was something that was helpful, that you at least have one nugget you could take home, and that this wasn't a waste of your hour. It's good to meet you all, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you for coming and have a great evening. Thank you. Let's give her Alex a round of applause.
There you go. Like I say, we'll see, because it's going to be the first time he's actually had that.
I knew you would be a giraffe.
Huh?
I knew you would be a giraffe.
No, I went to Eagle.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I moved back, but I didn't.
No, maybe if you blah blah blah. It's like, dude, doesn't matter.
You just stood on the.
I was like, oh, no, they're gonna use me move. I told Dolores I was gonna be on that side. Now I'm over here.
just for right now, because they're until the season starts.
Okay. And Nicholas is here.